Imagine this. You've built a whole sporting empire, right? A dream for thousands of players across an entire continent. And then, poof, you watch it all just vanish in less than a week. Well, this isn't some made-up story. It's the absolutely shocking, true story of the European Cricket League. So let's set the scene. The date is August 25th, 2025. The European Cricket Network, this was the engine driving a huge boom in cricket's popularity all over Europe. It just stops. All operations suspended, the broadcasts go dark, the tours are all canceled, and this entire ecosystem that had been built up, it's just thrown into total chaos. And that quote you see, that's from the founder, Daniel Weston. And you can just feel the devastation in those words. All that momentum, the incredible growth, the development at the grassroots level, it really felt like it was all just shattered in the blink of an eye.
So, you've got to be asking, how on earth does something like this even happen? How does a whole continental league just stop? Well, the answer really pulls back the curtain on just how fragile the whole global sports economy can be. To really get our heads around the collapse, we first have to understand the dream.
Okay, so this whole thing, it really started with one guy's incredibly ambitious vision. He wanted to create the cricket version of the UEFA Champions League, but for all of Europe. A massive, massive idea. And the man behind the dream was Daniel Weston. Now, this guy wasn't your typical sports administrator in a suit. Nope. He was this really unique mix of a high-level cricketer, he actually played for Germany, and a super tech-savvy entrepreneur who totally got the power of digital media. And the origin story is kind of wild. It all started with this one aha moment. So after a match, one of his teammates' brothers just casually films the team walking off the field on Facebook Live. Nothing fancy. And it gets 10,000 views. For Weston, it was like a light bulb went off. He realized there was this massive, hidden audience of cricket fans all over Europe, mostly folks from the South Asian diaspora, and they were absolutely desperate for content.
And from that moment on, the growth was just explosive. Just look at this timeline. It starts with just 8 clubs in 2019, and by 2024, it's this continental behemoth. We're talking about a network broadcasting over 1,700 matches a year from dozens and dozens of countries. Absolutely insane. And let's be clear, this was no small niche operation. At its absolute peak, a single one of these events could pull in a staggering 75 million viewers around the world. 75 million! This whole thing was a rocket ship. So you have to wonder, what was the fuel powering it all? Well, here's where it gets really interesting. The secret to this crazy fast expansion wasn't ticket sales. It wasn't your typical TV deals. Nope. It was something totally different, and it was coming from halfway across the planet. You see, this whole sprawling operation, it was being powered by a very unique, and as we now know, a very, very vulnerable business model. It was almost completely dependent on one single major financial partner. And that partner? It was Dream 11, the absolute giant of fantasy sports in India. For them, all these thousands of matches happening in Europe were a goldmine. It was a constant, never-ending stream of content for their millions and millions of users back home in India. This right here, this breaks down the whole system perfectly. Think of it like a set of financial dominoes. Money from fantasy gamers in India flows to Dream 11. Dream 11 then uses that money to sponsor the European Cricket Network. That sponsorship in turn pays for broadcasting all those matches and this is so crucial, it provided over 2 million euros in hosting fees directly to all these small developing cricket federations in Europe. It was a perfect self-sustaining loop. That is, until it wasn't. And this is where the whole thing comes crashing down. It's August 2025, and a single law passed in New Delhi sends this massive shockwave that ends up crippling cricket in places like Barcelona, Rome, and Berlin. It's just wild. So what was this law? It was a bill aimed at regulating India's huge online gaming industry. But the killer part was this. It basically prohibited platforms like Dream 11 from charging users for any real money fantasy games. Game over, essentially. And the speed of this collapse, it's just breathtaking. The bill gets introduced on August 19th. It passes just 2 days later. By the 23rd, Dream 11 is looking at its entire business model being completely obliterated, so they pull all their major sponsorships. And just 2 days after that, the European Cricket Network goes dark. Just like that. 95%. Just let that number sink in. The new law wiped out 95% of Dream 11's revenue. Overnight. I mean, can you even imagine? They had absolutely no choice but to pull the plug. And just like that, the financial lifeline that built European cricket was just severed. Instantly. But you know what? The shutdown, as shocking as it was, wasn't the end of the story. For the leaders of European cricket, it was this brutal, painful, but absolutely necessary wake-up call. It forced them to completely reinvent themselves. So in the aftermath, the whole power structure shifted. What used to be this private, founder-led company transformed into something new, the European Cricket Association. Now, it's a democratic body, led by the national federations themselves. And the number one goal was crystal clear. Never, ever again would they be so dangerously reliant on one single source of funding. And this chart here, it really breaks down that massive strategic pivot. You can see they moved away from the old model, which was all about producing a huge volume of short T10 matches, perfect for fantasy sports. The new model, it focuses on the more internationally recognized T20 format. The goal now is to build legitimacy and attract a much wider, more diverse range of media partners and sponsors. And the centerpiece of this whole new era is going to be the European Champions Trophy. It's launching in 2026, and it's basically the official successor to that original ECL dream. But this time, it's being built on a foundation that's designed for real stability and hopefully long-term growth. You know, the collapse was such a painful lesson about the hidden risks in our globalized sports world. But it forced European cricket to grow up, fast, to take control of its own destiny. So the big question that remains is this: can this new, more collaborative model actually turn the ashes of that vanished dream into something truly permanent? A real fixture on the world's cricketing map? Only time will tell.